There was an article in The Atlantic that published today about Stephen Miller and how he's supposedly been isolated a bit. Trump worried about how his brand of toxic, racist, white supremacist politics, if that's what you want to call it, just flat out racism, affects the election, and that he's kind of been pushed back. We know, though, that anti-immigration, you know, radicals who are pushing for mass deportation, they've been complaining to the administration as well. So Trump is getting that pushback. And even if Trump kind of distances from Miller, you know, for a little bit, it's in Trump's DNA, you know, this racism that he wants to promote in this country and the way he wants to just make this country more white. It's in his entire history, right? Going way back to his work in New York as a uh, landlord and a builder, right? So it's something that he's never going to quit. You know, Stephen Miller's like an addiction for him. He understands he's bad for him politically, but it makes Trump really feel high embracing Miller and that agenda, right? He can never quit him. And you were pointing to some of that in the story in the
Yeah.
Atlantic.
Yeah. So in the article, it said several people we spoke with said that it's just a matter of time before Miller is able to reassert himself with new initiatives. He's like Stephen Miller's like one of those characters in a horror movie that one of those murders that you think is you think they've taken care of and they keep coming back to life. He's been doing this for a long time. Now, a lot of people hate Stephen Miller inside and outside the administration because he is as diabolical and evil as he appears. But this idea that somehow they've softened things up. Last week, there was a conference in Arizona, and Tom Homan was there and had said, talking about mass deportation, you ain't seen shit yet. That's his exact quote.
Right.
They're coming. They're going to come.
And the former ICE guy, Lyons, right? Todd Lyons.
Lyons and Scott from CBP. They were sitting up there saying they were like giddy because they know it's coming. They tried to calm things down a little bit after they murdered people on the streets of Minneapolis, and but they're coming. This is the thing that drives Trump.
They're building concentration camps all across the country. They've got to fill them up. They're going to do something with them.
Absolutely. And the concentration camps have found a lot of backlash, even from some Republicans, because it's kind of a bad thing to have a concentration camp in your community. And we call them concentration camps. I do because Andrea Pitzer, who's a scholar, wrote a book on concentration camps. She defines them and she's explained. Right, she's brilliant. You've talked to her. I know she's been on Sirius XM a lot, Sirius XM Progress. But this is a tenet of their his presidency. He's going to keep doing it. And, you're seeing a lot more articles of people saying, well, we didn't think he was going to do it. Well, he told you he was going to do it. They had those signs, mass deportation now. What I think happened with a lot of Republicans, a lot of Republican farmers, I saw an article from Washington, a column from Washington, where a lot of farmers in Washington are like, well, we're Republicans, but we didn't think this would happen. Home builders down in Texas who voted for Trump, they're Republicans. We voted for him. We didn't think they were happy. They were just fine with the racist anti-immigrant rhetoric. But now that rhetoric has been turned into reality, and it's having a detrimental effect on our economy, on communities, on families, and just on the psyche of the nation. And so many people know someone who's been deported or is in fear of deportation. It's sickened the country. Trump has just sickened this country in so many ways.
And it's affected his own supporters.
Yes.
And to your point, it's very hard to believe that people didn't see or hear the things he was saying and what the people in the campaign were saying, right, during the election. The numbers of people they were going to deport, there weren't that many criminals, right? I mean, he even said, right, we might have to take mothers away from their children. They chose to hear what they wanted to hear.
Yep.
because they really believed the bullshit about he was going to bring inflation down. He was
Mhm.
going to make sure prices were going to be great. He was going to give them all this stuff. They were going to get money after Doge, like where are the Doge checks, right? I mean, they were going to get all this stuff. And so they decided not to hear it. And what happened, and I think it's debatable what would have happened if maybe if inflation did come down, if things did come, it did get better economically, and the mass deportations were going on. How many of those people would have just been okay with it, right, and looked the other way? But what happened was they didn't get what they wanted, right? And then they were stuck with owning this brutality, right? In front of their faces while they got nothing, while he's building a ballroom, while he is making billions in crypto and all kinds of other corrupt stuff, while he's suing our own government, the IRS, right, for money. I mean, that to me is the double whammy here. Who knows how they would have been if they got something out of it, but they didn't get anything out of it, and they're seeing this, and it really feels icky.